Brands on Brands.
Hey, what's up this week? We are talking to Katie Brinkley, author of The Social Shift, The Road Back to Community. We're talking all about how to leverage your personal brand as a business owner and more. Check it out.
In a world where content is king and your reputation is your brand, how do you build a brand that matters? Welcome to Brands on Brands, a home for those that think different and push their boundaries. This is where branding that matters lives. Now, here is your host, Brandon Birkmeyer.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Brands on Brands. I'm Brandon Birkmeyer, your personal branding coach, and today is an interview show. We are talking to Katie Brinkley. If you don't know her, Katie Brinkley is the owner and social media strategist at Next Step Social Communications. That is a social media agency based out of Littleton, Colorado. She's been helping small businesses, entrepreneurs, real estate agents, and small business owners with their social media for over 19 years now. She offers both done-for-you social media services and coaching, and she's the author of a new book called The Social Shift, The Road Back to Community. We dive into this topic of community on the show today, all these different ideas of how do you leverage community as a business owner, as a content creator, as a social media strategist. And one of the messages I love today was that, hey, we're not trying to be influencers. We are business owners creating content. And we dive into what that means and how community has evolved online and on social media through the years, so much and more. And we talk about her resources that help people plan their social media, like a social media calendar, and her 4 posts of social planning. So we will check that out and more today with Katie Brinkley. Here we go.
Brands on Brands.
All right, let's get going. I'm excited to welcome our guest, Katie Brinkley, to the show today. Katie, first off, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, the reason I'm excited that you're here is we get to talk, obviously. And what we're going to talk about is a little bit of community building and personal branding, of course. And the perspective that I'm excited that you get to bring is not just from someone who's out there doing the things that build their personal brand, like speaking and authoring and other things, but you also are a business owner that runs a social media agency. So from that perspective too, you've done a great job keeping up with trends in social media and community building. So I'd love to start to set the stage with, what does community building online look like today and why does it matter?
Oh man, I love that you started with this question. I think, Brandon, the pandemic changed everything for businesses and branding. And if you're a business online and using social media, people want to have someone to connect with more than ever, whether it's you, the business owner, or the marketing person, or the admin, or the intern. I mean, think about, I was actually just speaking with one of my friends yesterday about how Wendy's has really given a voice to a brand, and it's a real sassy voice. I don't know if you follow Wendy's on X, but it's really sassy, it's funny, and you feel like you know Wendy's and you have a relationship with them. And branding on social media is giving that personality and that know, like, and trust factor. Everything's changed, like I said, since the pandemic. You have to be willing to give your brand a feel. So when someone sees you show up in their feed, they feel a certain way when they see your content. Like, gone are the days of the generic Happy 4th of July and Merry Christmas posts. You have to have the face behind the brand.
Yeah, and we still see that today still. I mean, unfortunately, I still get some of those, those emails and posts that are very generic. But I love that we have to bring personality into this. And I think it's obviously businesses are trying to do what we do naturally as people. And I think that that absolutely is important. When you're thinking of like where community has come from and where it's going today, what do you see that's changing? What's different?
Yeah, I think that people want to connect online. And we really had started moving away from that with the way that we were posting on social media. It was just white noise after white noise after white noise, post, 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 and here you go. Here's more random content. Like I said, the generic Canva templates. And now people are okay with less posts, but more meaningful posts because they feel like they know you, they know the business, they like seeing you show up in their feed. And you don't need to reach as many people because you're talking to only the people that really care about you. They're telling their friends about you. They're sharing your content. They're engaging with you, and they feel a community. And that's how social media was originally intended. If you think about it, if you hop back in the DeLorean, and back to the Facebook back in 2004 and 2005, you were only a .edu address on social media. And it was designed so that you could connect with other people at your college or university. It was about community. And then we started going into algorithms and trends and, going viral. And we completely lost sense of finding our community online. And again, going back to the pandemic, I think that people were all locked up in their houses and they missed that connection. So people were trying to formulate these online communities online, and Facebook groups is a great example of finding your community. And when you're creating the content that your ideal client, your ideal customers identify with, they're going to want to say, that's my person. I trust them. I like them. I feel connected to them. I'm in their community.
I think a lot of people want to get back to being more on social media and the advantages that come with it, the connection that you might find with creating relationships with other people, the potential, who knows what might come out of it for your business. What makes it so difficult? Because I think people are starting to get, a little bit of like burnout on the social media hamster wheel.
1,000,000%. I mean, I'm there. Honestly, depending on when you listen to this podcast episode, the last time I posted on Instagram was back in April. And it was just a shared graphic because I was speaking at an event that somebody else made for me.
Right. And it's July
I'm burnt
now.
out. Yeah. I'm burnt out on Instagram. Now, I'm very active over on Facebook and LinkedIn still. That is a spot where I'm still building community. I'm creating content regularly. But if you look at the content over there that I'm creating, there's not any video. And that's the reason why I'm not on Instagram. You have to have some sort of video strategy to really find success over on Instagram. And I'm not that person. I get it. I know its power. Short form video is one of the best ways to go viral and get, have people see you, and it's what's trending. But for me, it's really hard. And so I was spending so much time creating a 15-second reel because I was judging myself so bad with the way that I was talking or the faces I was making. And I know that it's just me that has to get over it. I couldn't hit publish. And so I was like, well, I'm burnt out on this platform. I'm not going to give up on social media entirely. Obviously, I have an agency, but I mean, I'm not going to give up on it entirely. Where am I still seeing leads? Where am I still seeing connection happen from my efforts on it? And it's on LinkedIn, on Facebook. So until I can, feel like I'm ready to tackle short form video again, I gave myself the permission to just say no because I was burnt out so much on Instagram, and the stuff I was doing, I didn't care about.
Yeah, I think that matters. I think you do have to care about the message you're sharing and the motivation for the posting in general, but you're still putting content out there in the world on just a couple of channels, it sounds like. Now, for people out there who are saying, wow, if Katie's having trouble with this, well, maybe I shouldn't even get into this. What would you say to them? How would you keep them motivated?
Well, I know for me, video is hard. There's a reason why I went into radio and, versus television or newspaper, writing when I started my career in journalism. I've always felt comfortable behind the microphone, but I've been very hard on myself when I see myself on camera. I feel a little bit like, even now, it's just the two of us right now, Brown, and I'm getting a little bit hot and sweaty. I get nervous. And this is where you just have to know what your strengths are. I was doing a lot of short form video. I still try and post to my Instagram stories, at least once a day to let my audience know that, hey, I'm still here. I still am engaging on the Instagram platform, but creating the content over there was just too hard for me. And this is where I think that, yes, it's really easy just to hit a button and share content across all the social platforms, but there's a different culture, there's a different community, and there's a different way of creating content for all of these platforms. Just kind of splaying it everywhere is not going to move the needle for you the way that it potentially could. If you get burnt out, like I did, still spend the time engaging on other people's content. And I still get leads from Instagram. People still follow me every day on Instagram. And it's not because I've been creating new content. It's because I'm out there engaging with other people's content. And the content that's living on my feed, despite the fact it's older, is still giving value.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get into leads in a little bit, but
Okay.
because you do have a strategy you take, you're not randomly posting. I'd love to share with the audience when you are on a channel that you want to be investing in, when you've found the motivation and a message you want to talk about, what is your approach to sharing things on the channels that you want to share?
Yeah, so I have a 4-post strategy. It's designed to not have you burn out, and it's essentially kind of the Cliff Notes version is you just talk about one thing 4 different ways. And so for example, we'll just say, for example, Brandon, that this podcast episode I want to share with my audience. And instead of just me saying like, hey, I was a guest on Brandon's episode, go listen. How can I make the right people in my community raise their hand and say, hey, that's me that she's talking to? So you take that long form content and you find what is the one theme and what is the end goal that you want people to take. I want people to listen to the episode, or maybe I want people to buy my book, and I'm using the episode as that quality, the content generator. So it's the awareness to action strategy. And the very first post is the awareness post. And based on which channel you're posting on, the awareness post is going to be different. So LinkedIn right now, LinkedIn polls gets a lot of reach. On Facebook, the just single sentence with a different colored background, that gets a lot of reach. On Instagram, it's a reel. That gets a lot of reach. So you're trying to give the algorithm the content that is going to get the most reach just to get the most eyeballs on it and making people problem aware. So that's your awareness post. The next post you're going to do is an elaboration. So taking people one step further. Now that you made people aware of this problem that they had or that they're talking about, they brought it top of mind, how can you showcase that you have an answer to it? And it's not by saying, go listen to the podcast episode, go buy the book, whatever. It's by elaborating on that one problem that we talk about in this episode into maybe a LinkedIn article. Maybe it's just a long caption on Facebook or a carousel post over on Instagram, and educating people and saying, look, I have the answer to this problem that we just were talking about yesterday. The third post then is really what social media was made for, and it's the community post. So how have you overcome this problem? How have you helped a client overcome this problem? Share a case study on how you solved it. And you can use pictures of you, the candid pictures, you and your daughter, you and your son, you and your dog, anything. It's kind of the social part of social media. And this allows people to connect with you and say, she's been there. She knows what I'm struggling with. And then the last post is the action post, asking people to leave social media to go one step further with you. You've talked about this 3 different ways, made people aware that you have the solution, and you've actually felt this yourself. And by the way, there's an entire 30-minute episode that I can listen to where you go into further details. Sign me up. But you have to remember, no one goes to Instagram to listen to a podcast ever. They're going to Instagram to kill time. If they wanted to listen to a podcast, they'd open up Apple or Spotify or Good Pods or whatever podcast player they listen to podcasts on. But if you've piqued their interest through a variety of posts, now you have people raising their hand saying, yeah, count me in. I'd love to listen to that.
I love the framework. I love the four ways to think about it. If I had to double click a little bit into that,
Yeah.
I like that we have posts that are creating awareness, that are nurturing the audience, that are giving them a little bit of, behind the scenes, some education, that kind of stuff, and that we're doing some call to action. But are you doing this in any particular order? Is it like all in the same day? Is it spread out across a week? How are you sharing these things?
Yeah, I don't post a ton on social media because I get burnt out. And so I post around 3, maybe 4 times a week. And this is where understanding your audience and your data is extremely important. So I love the tool Metricool. I am an affiliate for them, but it's a great tool for really looking at your insights. You can do it for free on the platforms if you're set up as a creator account on Facebook, and if you're set up as a business or a creator on Instagram, and same with LinkedIn. They give you all this data, but if you want to just have like that one stop spot to check all of your data, I do really like Metricool. And this allows me to see like, okay, well, my audience isn't online on the weekends. Woohoo. Okay, I can take the weekends off. And the other posts that I need to get out need to happen either Monday through Friday. As long as they happen Monday through Friday, I can get that first post is almost always on Monday. It's the awareness post. The elaboration post is on Tuesdays, communities on Wednesdays, and Thursdays I do the action, or Fridays I do the action. But sometimes, like a few weeks ago, like a holiday fell on a Thursday. And it was a long weekend for people. So I was like, I'm not even going to bother posting. People aren't going to be online. I'll just do my action post on Monday, and I'll just start the cycle all over again.
Yeah, I think that helps. I think people get lost if they don't have some kind of structure. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. And obviously, Katie shares this kind of information all the time in her speaking and also on her website. If you guys have a chance and you want to see that in action, there's a content calendar, a 31-day content calendar on our website. The 4-post planner is right there for you to check out as well. That's katiebrinkley.com. We'll put the link in the show notes for you. If you want to just get that content calendar, go to katiebrinkley.com/content calendar as well. Thanks for putting those resources together.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that, Brandon, one of the things is I have a social media agency, but I'm a business owner first. And being a content creator as a business owner is very different than being an influencer. And you don't need to post all the time. If you want to post every day, good for you. This is a great strategy for posting every day as well. But you have to just keep in mind that there are other things that go into play, like running your business. And if you're spending all day on social media, unless it's driving a ton of revenue for you or you have a dedicated team, it really doesn't make sense.
I think that's a huge distinction. Influencer versus a content creator for your business. Like we aren't following the same patterns. We aren't on the same playbook. And I'd love to talk about that as someone who's running a business. I think that's what's super interesting to me about what you're doing. Your business, to me, from the outside looking in, seems local because social media agencies are generally grown locally, but also you have this kind of national presence through what you do outside of that as a content creator. How do you balance those things, finding local leads versus national leads?
Yeah, I go to a lot of conferences and networking events. I go to at least one a month. And if I'm not going to a conference, then I make sure that I'm a part of the Denver Dames, which is a female 6, 7, and 8-figure business owners and C-suite executives. And we do happy hours. We're doing like a stand-up paddleboarding event here this summer. And it's just a great way to connect and talk with people. And that helps me with my local leads. The international leads come from speaking and from having a book. I think having a podcast, having the book, having a YouTube presence, being present on social media, that's where I get the national leads. So it's making sure that you have that you're just having conversations with different business owners. Not everything needs to be directly to a lead, but some of the people I've met, Brandon, we've been running around in the similar circles for a really long time, but it took Austin Armstrong, who's a good friend of mine, and he's a good friend of yours. And he's like, wait, you guys haven't had each other on each other's podcast yet? That's crazy. And I was like, yeah, it is kind of crazy. Why hasn't this happened? And it's because we have this connection and relationship with somebody else that can make that introduction for us. And I have a couple people in my inbox where they're like, hey, Katie, I know you said you wanted to try and get one more client this month. So-and-so's looking for social media help. And it's that type of relationships and networking that you really have to nurture if you want to continue growing on a national scale and not have some sort of paid ad spend.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the idea that word of mouth has been traditionally how most local agencies would get their business. And once they start, they usually don't do anything else. Usually it's, I only get word of mouth referrals. I don't do anything to chase business at all. And it's nice to see someone out there who's leveraging their personal brand to support their agency, who has a voice and is the leader that the people are like, well, I'm here because this is Katie's agency. How did you start to get into that? Because I'm sure, like a lot of people maybe you built locally and you had the local podcast, but what was the first thing you started to do to venture outside of local?
Yeah, well, like I said, I was a social media agency that wasn't posting on social media.
Pretty
That was,
standard.
yeah. And I mean, it is really standard. It's one of the, the cobbler has no shoes, but I wasn't focusing on my own social media efforts. And I remember I was talking with Sue B. Zimmerman, the Instagram expert. And she was saying, Katie, your Instagram's terrible. And I was like, well, I get most of my leads from LinkedIn. She's like, yeah, but I mean, I don't even know who this is on Instagram. It's just a logo. Like, are you the owner? What do you do? And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like, because there's more people here than just me. I don't want to make it seem like it's just like a one-man show. Just like people want to buy from people. And everything for my business changed when I took her advice and I got rid of the logo and I put my face on it. And I started putting my face in some of the images and the graphics. And I think that that's what people want to buy from people. And once I embraced that and really started putting my face out there, that's when the leads really started coming in. And the podcast, again, having the voice for the business. People get on a sales call. I get on sales calls and I say, yeah, so Nikki is our lead content writer. She comes from Stars Network. And then, Mike is our video editor. He's been with us. He specializes, so I can tell them like there's other people here. I'm the strategist and the CEO. I know that when I go to McDonald's, I don't expect the manager to be handing me my food. There's other people there that are working. So you have to just put a face out there so people know like this is their company, this is your company. And then I guess that's a really long way of saying like just put your face out there. Be willing to do it, even though it can be scary. And like I said, I'm afraid of video, but it changed everything for me.
What was the catalyst, or when did you start the other podcast that isn't the Colorado one?
It's still the Colorado one. So I have Rocky Mountain Marketing. It's been airing for 4 years now.
Yeah.
We're over 300 episodes, and it started as a way during the pandemic for me to still get lead gen because I couldn't go out to these networking events. So I was talking with different Denver-based entrepreneurs to hear their story about how they got started in entrepreneurship, what digital marketing is working for them. Majority of them said, oh, well, we've been ignoring our social media until now, and now we're kind of scrambling. And I was like, oh, well, hey, I can help with that. So that was how I was getting lead gen. And then soon I started meeting a lot of people because I was really active on Clubhouse. And I was meeting a lot of great people that I wanted to have longer conversations with that were outside of Denver. And so I started bringing in some digital marketing experts. And then I found those were the episodes that were really getting a lot more downloads. So after the second season, I transitioned from doing kind of 50-50 of digital marketing experts and lead gen or Denver business owners to just other marketing conversations. And then with season 4 came out, I launched even more episodes, and I have my solo episodes now that I do on Thursdays because I've been interviewing people, but I hadn't been able to share my own thoughts and strategies on the show. So it was really an evolution. It's still the same title. I've thought about rebranding it. Maybe I should. I don't know. I'm on the branding show now with you, Brandon. But I mean, like I still have majority Colorado demographics, which is cool. Like I go to events here and people are like, oh, I listened to your show. So it's kind of fun being like a little like local who to know, but
Yeah,
it
I
yeah.
want to start a local podcast. I just like I can never pull myself to add another project to my plate because one podcast is so much work. So I love that you have one that is like has a geographicness to it. And I think it helps, especially if you're like, hey, I have a networking catalyst. It's not just this thing you put out into the world. You have a reason to reach out to people and say, hey, I have something to offer. Come on my show. And now you have a relationship you've started with people that could be clients. I mean, obviously, your audience of your guests who are entrepreneurs are perfect clients for your business as well. So it just,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have been tapping into that, but more should. Just this like, let's use content as a way to build relationships and then see what happens.
Yeah. And I think so many people just kind of drop the ball after the recording's over. There's Austin was a guest on. I'm going to keep talking about him because he's the one that kind of made this interview happen. But Austin was a guest on my show before he really made it big. I mean, he's a well-known guy now in the AI world and TikTok and Instagram. He has over 1 million followers. But I think when he was on my show, he only had maybe 25,000, which is still a lot. But at the time, like it's nothing compared to what he has now. And so we've kept in touch. I've sent him messages. I make sure that everyone that's been on my show, I make sure I engage with their social media, on a regular basis because it helps me stay top of mind to them. Like, oh, like Joe Palizzi, it helped me get speaking. I'm pretty sure it helped me get my speaking engagement at, his event, CEX. He said, yeah, I know I hit post and then there's Katie Brinkley right away commenting on it. And that's the type of stuff that I think helps you remain top of mind to these people that you have this conversation with on a podcast. And a lot of people miss it. They're like, okay, I was on your show. Bye. And that's not this is just the beginning of our relationship. You're Brandon, sorry, you're going to see me hanging around quite a bit, engaging on your content from here on out, because I want to make sure that I'm in your top of mind and that, oh, Katie, I can always count on her to like my post at least.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you treat it like a regular human relationship, right? That it's like you have this platform, which is great, but you're using it in a way that not only you can meet people you haven't met before, you have a reason to talk to them. That it's not like, hey, let's talk about business, and can we work together? But you're also using social media as a way to little touches in a relationship, little check-ins, little I support you, you support me kind
Mhm.
of things. And I think there's this, when these things start to add up over time, I think there's this accumulation that happens that I'm seeing. And I think another piece of that puzzle is this public speaking. And I'm curious how you got into that or when it started to be something that was like a strategy for your business.
I think that if you're willing to take the microphone, speaking should be a part of your strategy. It's a great way, again, for you to get in front of an audience and share just 30 minutes of your knowledge because it is different than other people's. There's something that you have to offer that is different from everyone else out there. I promise you. Your unique perspective is to how you approach something in your business is very unique to you that can impact others. So I think that you just have to be willing to hold the microphone. It might seem scary at first, but like I said, I come from radio. I like talking into a microphone, so I can get up on stage. No problem. It's just getting on video that makes me nervous. But yeah, so I'd always wanted to have that extension because I knew if I could get up in front of an audience and on a stage, it was going to continue bringing in leads. And all I need, if I was in a room just with 30 people, if I just need one person to come up afterwards and ask me a question or, buy my book or, sign up, get the free content calendar, whatever it is, just get them into my community, get them into my circle through my email or following me on social. And then they could say like, yeah, that's who I want to have lead me in the digital marketing world. I trust her. I know, like, and trust her. I like what she has to say. So I think that for me, speaking was something I wanted to do, just like I wanted to have a podcast. I kind of took baby steps to get there. Starting the podcast helped me gain the confidence to go ahead and start applying for different speaking opportunities. And I think it allowed me those speaking opportunities because I could say I had a podcast. It wasn't just somebody that was nervous on the microphone, like, oh, yeah, well, here you can listen to my show, or these are the shows I've been a guest on. Take a listen. I think it just definitely helped me get more opportunities for speaking on stages.
Yeah, I love that. And let's talk about the book for a sec, because for me, when people were like, you want to do more public speaking, you should probably write a book. I don't know if you heard the same thing, but your book, yeah. So your book is called.
I should have written it sooner because it probably would have helped, but yeah.
Exactly. Well, if you didn't start yesterday, the best time to start is today, right?
Yes, yes.
So your book is called The Social Shift, The Road Back to Community. And if you guys have been listening and paying attention, that's, a lot of what we talked about today talks about that. It's about, how community and relationships are the key to most things, most businesses, and most success in life. What I like about The Social Shift is there's this what's it called? Cataloging of where we've come from and where social media began and where it has gone, and even into the trends of the future and the things that, like are coming and going. We don't know what's going to stick and what isn't. But I'd love to hear from you, when you were starting to write this book, how did you pick this topic, and, why was this important to you?
Because I have two kids and they're both getting close to wanting to the ages of having their own phones. I'm lucky because I'm a geriatric millennial. So that's people that were born between 1978 and 1984, I think. I grew up alongside of social media, like Napster, all of that was, MySpace was actually where I got started on social media, not Facebook. So I think that I didn't have to go through the online judging that happens because of social media. I think it is an incredible tool. I think that if your business is not on social media, it's just like not having a website. Does your business even exist? You have to be on social media in some regard. However, I do think it is also a very toxic place because of vanity metrics. And people are, like, I hated it. I went to the park one day with my daughter. She was, I want to say maybe 6 at the time. And there was a group of teenagers sitting in the park. It was a beautiful day. They were just sitting in a circle and they were literally just all on their phones. They weren't even talking to each other. They weren't enjoying the beautiful outdoors. And I was like, is this really what our world is coming to? And it's hard because, like I just said, social media is powerful. It's great. You can talk to exactly who you want to talk to. You can build community. You can do all these things, but also it's terrible and it's tearing us apart. And how can you get in, make an impact, and build your community, and then get out and grow your business and live your life? And that's what made me want to write the book, because I think we've really lost our way with how social media was intended. I think that Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Elon have also lost the way of what they originally built with social media, but it was a way to connect, to build our community. And then when we saw each other in real life, we could say, hey, we're connected on the Facebook, or hey, I listened to your single on, MySpace, whatever, and have those real life connections. But now it's not. It's, oh, did you see the snap? I only talk on Snapchat. Oh, their TikTok went viral, and oh, did you do this dance? And oh, so and so's talking about so and so, and it stresses me out. And so that's my soapbox. But I don't want people to be on social media so much. I know it sounds crazy because I have a social media agency, but you can have leads, you can have community, you can have connection, all by posting less on social media. It's just by creating the right type of content that speaks directly to your target audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that hopefully that, tied to what we talked about earlier, motivates a lot of people to want to think about, how can I reframe what social media is for me? Because I don't think it's going anywhere, but
yeah,
it doesn't have to be this thing that we cringe about, when we use it, whether we're using it right or wrong, or just, that it's a task that we don't want to do anymore, whatever the thing is. I think if we could start to change and get back to what you're talking about in this book, which is how do we stay connected to people that, because our relationships are now across this, universe. Like I have a lot of, most of my friends now aren't where I live. And I think
It's crazy.
that can be a good thing. And how does it work? Why does it work? Well, because of things like social media and Zoom. I'll add Zoom to that list too. Zoom helps. But I think The Social Shift was a super interesting read. If you guys want to check that out, you can go to katiebrinkley.com. Is that the best place to go get it? Is there other places too?
Yeah, katiebrinkley.com/book. That's to get the physical copy, and the ebook or the Kindle version is on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. But yeah, if you're a physical book person, head to the website.
Yeah, absolutely. katiebrinkley.com for The Social Shift. Love that. Katie, as we're wrapping up today, is there anything that you are like excited about in this world of social shift and social media and community looking forward?
I do think that people are embracing quality content versus just the mass content. Like for a while when Instagram first came out, it was like these 1-second videos would help you go viral. And I do think that going viral is more and more people are catching on that it's not a legit business strategy. And I think that people are being more cognizant of where they're spending their efforts on social media. I think that you have to show your face and you have to be willing to send people into something that you own, like an email list. If you buy the book, that's why I sold the book on my website, because I get your data as opposed to Amazon, who has all your data. Like, I want to know, like, I had no idea, like there's 6 people, which isn't a ton, but there's 6 people that bought my book in Buena Vista, Colorado. Buena Vista, Colorado is a really small town. Maybe I should go, do a book signing at the Buena Vista Library. Apparently I have a fan base there. But this is one of the things where if the more you know about people, you can make the content that will resonate and connect with them. So show up, show your face. I think that's important. And then build your audience, build an email list that you can really directly talk to, because, man, Mark Zuckerberg might decide to take us all in the metaverse, next year, and we might not all be ready to go. So
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you for spending all this time with us today, Katie. Appreciated you having you on. And again, guys, if you are at all interested in getting better at social media, getting better at the process of building community, check out the book, check out Katie's website and resources. She's put it out there for you so that you don't have to learn it the hard way like we did. And if you guys had anything that you appreciated from this, go to Katie, find her on social media, follow her, like her, show her the love. Appreciate you. Thanks so much, Katie, for being here.
yeah, thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for listening, and tune in every week for more personal branding tips and amazing interviews like ours with Katie today. And we'll catch you next time.
You've just taken your marketing knowledge to another level with this episode of Brands on Brands. But we have plenty more ways to help you build a brand that matters. Head over to brandsonbrands.com for resources, as well as access to our blogs, videos, and exclusive coaching sessions with your host. Be sure to visit brandsonbrands.com.